I'm going to start the video off by saying, if you guys are interested, check out Barbell Apparel. They're my sponsor. I know everyone doesn't like pitches and all that, but they sponsor the channel. They help me out. They support me, so that's why I'm doing this. I like their clothes. You can check them out. They have the Anything pants on sale right now. And the Anything pants, they are really stretchy. They're just a jean that's super stretchy. You can move around in them very well. It's not like a typical jean where you feel restricted. Check that out. I'll put the link in the description, barbellapparel.com/Pete. Thank you guys. Hey guys, so it has been done. Freaking smashed a 600-pound deadlift. Yeah, I was surprised. I was hoping I would get the 600-pound deadlift, but I didn't expect it to move quite as well as it did. And this was about 14 hours, 15 hours after a pretty hard metabolic conditioning type workout, where I was doing the 70 reps of trap bar deadlift and then the 70 reps each leg, 70 reps total of step ups. Yes. So quite a bit of leg training the night before. So I could kind of feel a little, residual back soreness coming into it, but still crushed it. So I'm getting to a point. The issue now is my belt, I can't get it tight enough. So I have a lever belt. I have the whole, lever system thing where you can adjust it even further. And the last notch on it still isn't tight enough. So that was one issue. So I actually switched to a different belt. I borrowed somebody's belt on the working sets afterward on the 5 at 485. But I'm really happy with this. Warm-ups didn't feel great because I still was a little sore, like I said. So I didn't feel like 100%. The 375 and 485 were kind of like, on the warm-ups. And then I just threw on the 601, and this was on a Rogue Ohio deadlift bar. So not even quite as whippy as a Texas deadlift bar, and definitely not on the level of like a Kabuki. But it flew up. I was pretty surprised. There was only, there wasn't much hype in the room either. It was just one of my guys, Bill. You'll see him sitting behind me. He's a legend in his own right because he's 73 years old and going for a 440 deadlift at the end of the year. But he was the only one in the room watching, and I was shocked. I was shocked at how easy it moved. So I'm thinking, man, maybe 625 is there. I didn't want to get too greedy and go for a big number after a pull like that, because usually something like that will take it out of you to where you won't have anything left in the tank. So this is one thing I see a lot of times where guys will be going for a max, or let's say a max, or just a heavyweight in general. And if they miss it on the first try, they'll keep trying it over and over. And they'll try it 2 or 3 times. Well, I've only ever seen one guy who can do that. I train this guy, CJ, and he's the only guy I've ever seen be able to literally come back, miss a max or a heavy single and come back and get it. And it's mind-blowing. I don't know. I've never been able to do that. I've never seen it turn out well for anybody else. Because what usually tends to happen if you do that is it blows out your nervous system. So your nervous system is way too smoked, and you just set yourself back as far as your recovery. Because you got to look at recovery from the standpoint of it's not just a physical thing, it's also the nervous system being able to recover. If your nervous system is fatigued at all, you're often going to perform very suboptimally when it comes to heavy deadlifts, heavy weights in general. So basically the point was 625 may not have been there due to nervous system fatigue after having done the 6. But 625 I think is there. Does that make sense? So I think 625, if I come in fresh, I think I can get it. Which is pretty crazy. I'm way dieted down from where I was when I was pulling 700 pounds in December. So if we go back to December to the 705 that I did in the meet, albeit it was hitched so it did not count, but I locked the weight out. That 705 was on a Texas deadlift bar, so it was a slightly bendier bar, and I was also 238 pounds body weight, whereas now I'm 212 pounds body weight. So 26 pounds lighter, and I'm super detrained on deadlift compared to then. Back then, I was heavily focused on lifting, very training my butt off, putting everything I had into that meet. And now, basically my third day back deadlifting, I pulled 600. which is pretty dang cool. Now, I've been squatting quite a bit leading up to that, so the squats kind of, I think, a lot of beltless high bar squats and bare knee, I think those somewhat maintained a lot of that strength. But now I'm kind of doing a thing where I'm focusing heavily on split squats, back extensions, and deadlifts. That's the primary focus with lower body training. Obviously, there's some other stuff like trap bar deadlift, step ups, just stuff that makes sense when I'm doing like a HIIT type workout, metabolic conditioning. But the main focus is back extension, split squats, and then deadlift volume, especially pause deadlifts. But it's so 212 pounds body weight, 600 pounds, maybe thinking 625 is there. I think a pretty cool goal, if I continue to lean out a little further from running, would be like 651, which is 290 kilos, 295 kilos. 651 at 205 would be nasty. That'd be pretty sick conventional. So I'm gonna go for that next. That'll be the next goal, the little goal along the way. 625, obviously, that's like the stepping stone. That's going to be the first goal, I should say. But the ultimate goal of 651 at 205 would be ridiculous for me, considering like the relative strength, body weight to strength ratio. I think that'd be pretty impressive with putting in, like, literally I'm logging 40-mile weeks of running. So I'm putting in this extensive cardiovascular training. I'm doing tons of running, 40-mile weeks, that's no joke. And still maintaining the strength, which is really what I was after. That's pretty cool. I'd say bench is taking a little more of a hit, but making a run at a 350 bench also would be pretty sick at like 205 while putting in this much mileage. It's kind of cool because Garmin has this fitness age thing. Like, it has it on the app. So it's calculated off of body weight, heart rate factors, heart rate while running factors, stuff like that. And it's lower than it's ever been. So last year at this point in time, I was 30 years old. And the fitness age thing, when I was doing some running back in June and July, not to the extent I am now, it wasn't as much volume. But the fitness age thing said I was 28, so 2 years younger. Whereas now I'm 31 years old. I'll be 32 years old in August. And the fitness age thing says I'm 26. So, you could read into it what you will as far as how accurate is this, what does it mean. But that's pretty cool to be a year older, yet on the thing I'm 2 years younger. That means I'm in way better shape. No matter how you look at it, I'm in way better shape than I was a year ago. To basically have it say that I'm 5 years younger than what I am as far as the shape I'm in. So that's pretty cool. The VO2 max thing is pretty cool too. So early on in my, foray into running, I think the first 2.5 months of running, I did it all pretty much exclusively on the treadmill. So the first 2.5 months starting in February were on the treadmill up until about mid-April, all of it, like all the runs. And your VO2 max, it can't be measured. Garmin doesn't measure it inside. It needs GPS data to be able to do it, to confirm your distances basically and make sure it's accurate. So once I went outside, first couple times I ventured outside, it was showing 48 as the VO2 max. And now it's up to 50, which is awesome. So it's taken a lot to make it go up, but it's at 50, and it's right on the cusp of being 51. Like, it's right on the edge. I think one more harder run will push it up to 51, which is freaking awesome. Because I can feel I'm in way better shape than I was when it was like 48. No matter, again, whether you argue the legitimacy of it and how accurate it actually is, I would say I'm definitely in way better shape at nearing 51 like I am now than I was when I was 48. That much is clear to me. Just going off of my times and going off of how I feel and all that sort of thing. So, the Garmin VO2 max thing, from what I've seen with other YouTube videos where guys have checked it, comparing it to a lab test VO2 max, it's actually fairly accurate. It's like dead on in a lot of cases. So that's kind of cool. I want to push that VO2 max upwards of 60 at some point, which I know will take literally a year to even get to nearing that level. So a year from now, next June, we might be closing in on 60, but that's how much work it would take of consistent running and improving times and such. But that'd be pretty sick. So I'm really happy with that. So, I mean, I'm doing a lot of cardio, way more than I have, which is, I think, why my blood work was so remarkable on the last blood test, which I had done in April. My blood work was like the best it's ever been. Outside of the liver enzymes being not even out of range, but just slightly in the high normal range due to all the training I'm doing. But outside of that, everything was insanely good. Like my lipids were the best they've ever been on no medication. My fasted insulin was 2.4, like insanely low. You can't even get it lower than that. A1C was the lowest it's ever been. Fasted glucose was the lowest it's ever been. C-reactive protein was almost unrecognizable on the charts. There was so little inflammation, it almost didn't even show up. It was as low as it could be. It's just crazy. ApoB was in a good range. It's really, I'm at a point where I'm trying to be in as good of health as possible, as good of shape as possible, and still be strong. So I am at this hybrid phase of my career, of my life, where, you know, it's not purely strength. You guys got to think, for my entire 20s, it was all about strength. I didn't care about health in the slightest. It was not a thing at all. I'm just like, I need to get as strong as possible. But I really wasn't. I slept terrible. I had terrible sleep apnea. Whereas now, the biggest benefit and arguably the biggest motivation for me to be doing what I'm doing, being on this journey of getting lighter, getting leaner, getting faster, all this sort of stuff, getting into cardiovascular type stuff. The biggest reason for this, arguably, is my sleep quality is insanely better, guys. My sleep quality is night and day better than it was. I mean, I don't think I have sleep apnea at all anymore. I don't snore anymore. I sleep like a rock. I wake up feeling refreshed, even though I don't get, as much sleep as I need to a lot of times because I get up to open the gym so early. So I'm not getting tons of hours, but I'll feel better on 5-6 hours of sleep than I used to on 9, because the quality of, and this is another thing Garmin tracks. This is a Garmin 5.5, by the way. So I'll show you guys. This is a Garmin 5.5. Pretty cool. I like this a lot. I've had this for about a year. It's not very expensive. It's like $150, $200, and I love it. I might upgrade to a different Garmin later on, a more advanced one, but this thing gets by just fine. But anyway, this tracks sleep too, REM, all that kind of stuff. And my sleep quality, just going off this, is way better. I'm not waking up all the time. I feel great. I feel refreshed. I fall asleep fast. I stay asleep. And I'll get into supplements later on, but I don't take any medications, nothing crazy. I don't take creatine even. And one of the best things I did, truthfully, was not giving in to the immense amount of peer pressure from all over the internet of people saying, just go on TRT. Just go on TRT. I heard that for 2 years straight. And there's nothing wrong with TRT per se. I do not actually have a negative opinion of TRT. I do not think it's like taking steroids. I don't classify it as the same. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't think it's bad for your health. I think people can take too high of a dose where it's not true TRT, where their levels are sitting at 1,000 plus, and it's like TRT plus. I think that's what a lot of people do, and I understand that as well. And I don't have a negative opinion of it. But for me to kind of buckle down and wait it out as far as my hormones rebounding, I'm super happy with that. I'm glad I did it, because there were times where I doubted. I was like, there's no way my testosterone is coming back. It's not going to happen, because it's been 2 years and it's still quite low. And then when I saw the 500 nanogram per deciliter on the last test, I was like, finally, like the wait paid off, almost 2.5 years. And I almost think it might be a little higher now. I feel significantly different. I feel more like a go-getter mentality. I feel more hustle. I feel more intensity. I feel like I'm going to go smash my goals. And that drive wasn't there before. I have so much more drive now. I feel so much more almost aggressive in the sense of, let's go freaking get these goals, That was not as much of a thing. I was a little more placid, as you guys probably saw. And now I feel like, let's freaking do it. Let's knock out every goal we have. There's nothing holding us back, no excuses. So I think the testosterone levels might be even higher than 500 now, just based on how I feel. And I think that's part of the reason why my strength is holding up so well despite all the running. I mean, if I had tried to do this much running and then pull a heavy deadlift a year ago, it would have been like 520 instead of 6. So I think the testosterone levels now being higher are kind of holding steady at my strength to making to where my strength is in a good place where I can run a heck of a lot of miles. I think in May I ran like 130 miles, and I can still maintain this level of strength, which is why I'm like, maybe it's possible that I'll be able to push for the 350 bench, because I have not been training bench super hard. So if I really like buckled down and did bench 2-3 times a week consistently, I think I could do it. I'm going to show the 20 rep pull-up video. So I didn't put this up earlier, but I knocked out a massive goal, got the 20 reps pull-ups. The next goal is going to be 10 reps with a 45-pound plate on pull-ups, which would be a huge milestone for me as well. But I'm really happy with where I'm at. You know, this is what I'm talking about. I want to be the best blood work possible, which blood work isn't necessarily the end-all, be-all. It's not going to tell me like a clearly scan of my heart or something to show a plaque formation in the arteries, that sort of thing, more in depth. It's not going to show it to that degree as far as health, but there's blood work. If you get the right things checked, you can find out pretty accurately how good of health you're in overall. If you check, you know, the big ones to check, ApoB, apolipoprotein B, much more accurate indicator of cardiac health than a standard lipid panel. Standard lipid panel, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, that's going to miss a lot compared to an ApoB reading or an NMR profile if you want to take it up a notch. I can get into this more later on. It's kind of not the point of this video. That one's big. Insulin is huge to show your insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance if it's really bad. Insulin's more important than these other metrics, like A1C, even though A1C is legitimate. It's a 3-month average reading of your glucose levels. So those are going to be the big two. C-reactive protein to kind of show the total body inflammation that's going on in your body. That one's big as well. It's going to show a pretty good indicator of your overall health. So those are the big three. I would say that doctors do not check. They don't check. You have to do them on your own. You have to go to Merrick Health. You can use code Pete, and you have to get that stuff checked because doctors aren't going to do it for you. You have to take health into your own hands. Now, the thing is, guys, you are going to sacrifice some strength by doing this much cardio. It's inevitable. Would I be stronger if I wasn't running? Absolutely. You know, I would say you can get away with running up to about 20 miles a week without having a significant impact on strength. So for most people, that would average out to 3 miles a day, and most people aren't going to push past that. So I think 20 miles a week of cardio, and you can still pretty much have very little impact on strength, assuming you're eating enough. But past that, it has a detrimental effect on strength significantly. But between the weight loss and just the amount of pounding you're doing on your body, you're burning an immense amount of calories. That's going to negatively impact things. So that's why I'm like, a 650 deadlift might not be quite as impressive as a 705 like I had in December. But I think 650 at 205 is arguably more impressive than 705 at 238. I mean, and you're in way better shape and way healthier, and it's just a lot of cool things. So this is where I'm at with my life. I think that pretty much covers the main things I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching the video, and thank you. I'm gonna keep them coming. I'm gonna try to put up more content. So I'm literally just gonna pump content on the channel, whether it's talking about my own training, where I'm headed, whether it's talking about maybe clients, how they're doing. I've got 2 guys competing at Powerlifting America Nationals this weekend in Arizona. So Roland's competing, Jesus is competing, and they're polar opposites. How cool is this? Roland is 16 years old, and he's going for 452 squat, 275 bench, and 524 deadlift. This is drug tested. This is America's IPF affiliate, Powerlifting America. So Roland, he's a 198. Actually, it's 205. It's 205, I should say, because Powerlifting America / IPF is the only one with the different weight classes. So he's 205 going for those numbers. Jesus is a guy who's turning 50 in a couple days, and I've been working with him for the last few months for this prep. He's going for a 463 squat, he's going for a 342 bench, and he's going for a 600 deadlift. So this is quite remarkable. You know, these guys are at polar opposite spectrums age-wise. Great guys, train their butts off, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. But I'm just going to keep the videos coming. I hope you guys, I hope this is at least interesting to some guys. Really appreciate every one of you. Appreciate my guys, my clients. You know, I really appreciate everyone's understanding of the situations and where I'm at in life and still following along. So thanks, guys.